Today I'm speaking with Michael Garrigan. He's an angler, he's a writer, he's a teacher, and he lives right here in central Pennsylvania. His name is Michael Garrigan. Hello, Mike.
How you doing, Gene?
Thank you for talking with me today. I'm really intrigued by your work in behalf of the many anglers, but also the many citizens, the 4 million citizens plus that live within the river basin. And I see you have a book coming out July, and the title is Robbing the Pillars. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. I got that title. It comes from an old mining term. My family is from Shamokin, PA, and they used to work, many of them worked in the anthracite coal mines up there. And robbing the pillars refers to when they would send, usually young boys into the kind of smallest parts of the mines to blow up the last remaining pillars that were holding up the mine to get the last remaining pieces of coal.
It wasn't that what happened in the Northeast area. A lot of the mines, the land would kind of cave. They had a lot of those issues because of that.
Yeah, it was, they referred to it as one of the most dangerous jobs in the mines because you were literally blowing up the pillars that were holding the mines in place. So that's when the cave-ins would happen usually.
So this is kind of a tribute to those coal miners, to your history and your family. I understand that was from the Northeast, and it's a book of 114 pages of poems. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a collection of poetry, and yeah, it explores both that kind of history, the familiar history, but also I try to capture the history of the Susquehanna River Basin and the watershed, both environmentally and socially and economically.
And you mentioned about, I did read an excerpt about acid mine, and that was in one of your biographies. Talk to me about that, because you do give a good history of the problems we had with trout and aquatic life and how you've seen an improvement. Would you like to comment on that?
Sure. I mean, it's through work through organizations such as the Susquehanna River Basin Commission that have done a lot of great work to take these once dead streams that were killed off by acid mine drainage, and now they're in recovery throughout the state of Pennsylvania, especially the Susquehanna River watershed. And as a poet and writer, I find that as a beautiful metaphor for this area as well, that's kind of undergoing a new post-industrial wilderness kind of recovery.
Very good. I know you said you have a poem. Do you have one handy? Would that be possible? You could even read it right now. And
Sure.
before we conclude our interview, I'd love to be able to share at least one of the poems about the Susquehanna. Sure.
Sure. Let me read one called Susquehanna. And in this poem, I try to capture not only our effect on the river, but the river's effect on us and our land. So this is called Susquehanna. Its first spoken name, breath on tongue, shaped by lips of Lenape, Susquehanna. Long before body and blood, it was called many things in the language of animals and rock. To eels, it was place to leave to make more. To shad, it was place to go back to. To the spring peepers, even now, it is wetness that makes us sing. The Allegheny Mountains, they call it father. The oysters, they named it with their spit. But with body and blood came syllables and smelting, smoke and steel, bridges and boats. To raftsmen, it was the murmur and shimmer of water and moonlight over shoulder. To the mills, it was good flow for timber. To the furnaces, it was good route for canals and trains. To the canals, it was friend, mentor. To trains, it is neighbor. It is this, the water that runs 464 miles to the Chesapeake, rippled meniscus, named many things, that allows us to breathe sounds into song.
What a beautiful poem. And I have to, again, congratulate you. That was Michael Garrigan. He's an angler, he's an author, he's an educator right here in Central PA. I want to thank you today for participating in this interview, Michael.
Thanks for having me on, Gene.